What's happening? It's John here for a quick tutorial making sure that your After Effects project skills are up to scratch and on par. So what we're going to be doing today is creating a Super Mario Odyssey inspired hat eye set. So if you haven't watched the trailer for Mario Odyssey, you totally should. It looks awesome. I'm super excited for getting that. And I just feel like the new mechanics are really good. Mario games are always really positive and a lot of fun. So I'm creating this tutorial coming off the back of that because looking forward to October. If you're watching this loosely when the video comes out, that's a couple months wait, which is going to be a long time, upsetting. But if you're watching this after, then you're already lucky. Cool. So let's get started. What I'm going to be doing is creating... Oops, I'm holding caps lock. Let me do that again. I'm just creating myself an eyeball real quick. And when I say an eyeball, I mean just the back of an eyelid. So I'm just creating this. All I've done is use the shape layer, and I'm going to call this whites for the white of the eyeball. And what I'm going to do is then duplicate it. Duplicate. And I'm going to call this, hit enter, and call this outline. And there's a reason I'm going to call it outline, because I'm going to say it's got no fill. And I'm going to say it's got this sort of dark grey outline. And let's add some of that in. Yeah, we'll go about that. Set you to about half, so it looks good. Cool. I'm probably going to go a bit darker, actually, I think. Just a touch. And what I'm going to do as well while I've got this, I'm going to right click it and I'm going to go to layer styles and I'm going to bevel and emboss it. And let's just tweak this a little bit as well. Increase you, touch you up a little bit. And as you can see, we've now got this sort of really nice sort of almost depth given to the eyeball. Awesome. So that's that done. What we're going to want to do now is create the actual eyeball itself. So just going to create another sort of small circle. Maybe a bit smaller. Yeah, that should do it. Cool, this has got the same styles on. We don't want that. The exact same. We do want it to have a fill. Let's give it a black fill, just like the hat has a pitch black fill. And I do want it to have a stroke, but I want it to have a gradient stroke, so I'm just going to click on the stroke, set it to gradient, and go into it. Find where the gradient is. Let's go in here. I'm going to press edit gradient so I can set up the colors. This one's going to be a nice bright red, and this one's going to be a deeper darker red. So as you can see, we've got that sort of going on. Nice. And let's tweak this so it's a bit lower, a bit like that. Yeah. Yeah, that looks alright to me. So I've got the light source coming from up here and that from over there. Am I happy with that? Yeah, I think I'm happy enough with that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it the classic little shine as well. So make sure you still got the layer selected and draw yourself in a nice tidy little circle. I'm going to get rid of you and set you to white. Cool. And that'll do. This is my eyeball. That is my eyeball. So if I switch to V, I can now move my eyeball around. What I'm going to want to do though is set you loosely in the middle, about there, and bring you under my outline. So I've got you, and you're under my outline. Now I'm going to want to do the whole duplication process. So get you, I'm going to hold shift while I pull this across, and then get the outline, Control D, hold shift as well, just so it's going to fall into the same place, and same with the eyeball. Awesome. So making use of the layers to hide it underneath. What I need to do is reposition these all a bit as well, so it's a bit more central. Cool. Awesome. Looking good. Yeah, looking good. Get in place. Cool. What I'm going to need to do next is go to Layer, New Null Object, and this is going to be our eyeball controller. And what I mean by that is I'm going to get the eyeballs. I'm going to grab this pick whip here and drag it to controller. Or I can go in here and press controller. And now if I grab my controller, you see how I can move the whole eyes around? That way these are ready for animating. But I'm not quite done there yet. What I want to do is create it so I can hide that. And I'm going to duplicate my red layer. And I'm going to drag it all the way to the top. And just for visuals, I'm going to bring the opacity down so I can see where I'm going. Select the circles to create a mask. And they'll do need to, yeah, that should be fine. I'll just bring it in a little bit. Cool, because that's going to hide around. And what we're going to need to do is do that again. Same thing again. That is way too wide. I'll just bring it into place that way, and a little bit on the height. Cool. So now I've got these two masks. So if I tell you to subtract and tell you to subtract and bring up the opacity back up, hide this under my outlines, so I've got the full outline. And now if I find my controller again, that way when I put, I mean, it's still, they will come across, which you can't really help, but we now have this whole host of movement going on, which looks really good. And the null objects, awesome, because we can actually put quite a lot of stuff on there. So for example, let me hide these momentarily. I'm going to create a quick shape. I'm just going to create an eyelid here. So let's set this to a dark red, like an eyelid would be. Maybe, yeah, no, that'll do. Bring up its position a bit so it's about over here at this point, and it's going to want to be under the outline. And now if we tell it to also be under controller and then start moving our null object around, now when we look down we have a sad eyelid. And look up, edit hides, and down, sad eyelid, up and stir, down, sad eyelid, move it around. Yeah, cool. That's a lot of fun. So what we could do now is, if we want to, we could just, let me You know what? Let's keep the eyelid in. Where did I put the eyelid though? It's not red solid. It's gonna be shape layer. Let me go back into my pen. And drag you about here. You over here. And I'm just going to try and copy this. Hold Alt to bring that curvature around. Bring it there like so. Right, and now go back to control. And in theory, if I press V to pull this back, we've got eyelids all up in there. Awesome, so let's turn on a keyframing real quick. Put that there. Add another keyframe for the end. Make sure we're using the controller. If we wanted to avoid all that, we could just select all these layers, lock them, and now we're going to pretty much only have to select that controller. No, we're not, because we still got one more layer. That's annoying. Ah. And all I've done real quick is I've just thrown some quick positional stuff on there. Hopefully that should look okay. And let's rewind, press play. Cool, so there we have it, guys. That was a quick tutorial just to make sure that your skills are sharp. Always want to keep the skills sharp. Good bit of practice. Like I say, we use the null tool, animate the eyes. The whole thing looks really good and really professional. I might even one day just take this a bit further and actually create this as a texture on a 3D model, see how that would look. That'd be really cool. But with that said, I hope you found this tutorial useful, or you're just keeping your skills fresh. If you have enjoyed it, please, as always, hit that subscribe button, maybe even check us out on our website or on Patreon. Who knows? Thanks for watching, guys.